Is this you, Johnny?
That is tenacious, Johnny Lyons, yes.
Yes. And that's a... Well, what is that? I mean, some people would call that a date, really, but you're...
You might call that. I would call that a rear naked choke. That's what I would call that.
Just pause for a second. You'd call it what?
A rear naked choke.
A rear naked choke?
Yes.
It's quite a look on your face there. No wonder they were terrified. Done wrong, and a person not fit or experienced or ready or properly trained.
Yeah, it could happen.
You accept this as well, Scotty. I'll call him the co-performer. Let's also call him a victim. Could get seriously injured. Am I right? If they weren't properly trained.
Absolutely.
So it's in your both professional and, what's more, in your legal interest to ensure that anybody that ends up in that ring is properly trained, and certainly trained to the same standard you were, Scotty. Correct? Splendid. That's very helpful. Now, Scotty, the basis of your claim is Johnny comes back and he trains people, and his training is so bad, so aggressive and so unpleasant that the trainees keep leaving. And you're effectively saying to me that Johnny performed his training to such a poor and negligent standard that it causes people to leave. And you're now suing for the loss that you experienced as a result of Johnny's behaviour. Well, let's look at the first person that came along, that Johnny trained in your now-owned business. What did he do you say, that caused that first person to leave, and when was it?
The first person in particular started coming to training on the 5th of February 2012.
And you say that he left, in fact, on the 17th of June...
Yes.
2012. So roughly about sort of 4 or 5 months later.
He was not a physically impressive individual. He was a younger guy, an enthusiastic guy. He had a genuine interest in trying to become a professional wrestler, and that should be encouraged. The issue I have is he did not encourage him. He discouraged him.
Well, what's he supposed to do? Oh, come on. There comes a moment when I look at a lawsuit and apply my mind legally to it, and this strikes me as, to say the very least, absurd. Are you ostensibly saying that this person wasn't physically fit, that it was Johnny's job to encourage them? What did you want him to do? Take them out for dinner?
It wasn't a case of him not being physically fit. It takes all sizes to be a part of this.
Well, except they have to be fairly physically impressive. Otherwise, it's, you know, David and Goliath.
I do believe that you can't discriminate against talent. Big or small, if someone has some degree of talent or some degree of potential, it needs to be encouraged. Now, just because...
Yes, that's true in school. That's absolutely... If I'm applying to be a boxer and I've got all the will in the world and I just love watching on television, if I go into the ring with Lennox Lewis, it's not going to end up well. Do you understand? Even now that he's retired. I may be terribly enthusiastic, but the idea I come along to my trainer and say, I could have been a champion. If only you'd encouraged me, if only you'd bought me dinner and said how marvellous I was, I could have beaten that Lennox Lewis. I may not have won in the boxing, but boy, would I have beaten him on the law or something. After the first time you thought that Johnny was giving sub-quality training, why didn't you say, Johnny, I think this wrestler's got talent. He's come to me to complain about the nature and quality of the training. Would you mind being a bit more encouraging? Could you give this young man who's got talent a bit of a cuddle? Was that ever said to you?
No, because I would never do that.
No, leaving aside that, did you ever express to Johnny that there was a problem with the quality of the training he was providing?
Not with that individual, no. But then the pattern continues to go on, and then I'm seeing, well, the common denominator is this person is leaving not long after having trained with Johnny.
How many of them came and notified you that they were quitting, paying you to train them because of Johnny, tenacious Johnny?
There was talk about it after the fact, but when they quit, they never actually told me.
Had you been aware that one of these wrestlers had complained about you and about your strong training, what would you have done?
I wouldn't care, because wrestling's a brutal sport. I don't care. I will go as hard on them as I can, because when it gets to the reality of being on the shows and being on the road, it's tough.
So it's a bit like the army, really?
Absolutely.